RDTDaily.com presents a Tarabuster with comedian Tara Devlin.
All right, guys, what's going on? What a day, what a week, what we're going to talk about it. So thank you for hanging out. This is unapologetic liberal talk on the right side of history, decency, dignity, democracy, humanity, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about. It's kind of fun watching the Republican Party implode. We always knew that's where it was going. I've predicted it forever. They can't govern. They don't want to govern. They are incapable of it. And I actually heard one of these Republicans, and I'll call him a Republican, I guess. I'll have to, I don't know. I'll switch back and forth. He said what we've been saying, and it's really good to hear that them admit it. And what he said was that Republicans are not a majority party. They need to be a minority party, and we've been saying that forever. You know, they're not meant to be in the majority. They are a minority party that can't govern. They don't want to govern. They'll stand on the sidelines and throw rocks, and that's what they want to do. That is what they are meant for. And we've said it from forever, right? We've talked about how they're incapable of functioning in a free democratic society. They have no interest in that, as we see, and we'll get into it more. And we have the receipts. They were all over the place. You know, you don't have to be me or you guys. I think the average Joe who isn't paying attention to this can't help but see how unfit these people are. They are not a governing party. And we've talked about it before. Why do we need these parties? Who needs this Republican party? I know that Nancy Pelosi, she loves to say how the American people need a strong Republican Party that's done so much good for America. We have so many clips of her, and every time she says it, I want to vomit, and I get annoyed because then I have to call her office again and ask the machine, because no one ever picks up unless you're a billionaire. And I ask the machine, tell me one thing that they've done. They've done so much good for America. Tell me. I'd like to know. I'm being serious. What have they done? Because everything they do is abhorrent. The Democrats try to make progress, and Republicans throw stones and drag us back. That's what they do. What have they done in my lifetime? Let's leave it to that. The past 50 effing years, what have they done? Right? What have they done? Can somebody tell me? I don't know. I'm asking. I would like to be informed about this stuff, because we would talk about it, and it's not, it's not just about Democrats and Republicans, because if there was no Republican Party, we don't need a Republican Party. What would happen is we would go back to, as the founders wanted it. They didn't want factions, is what they called it, and they advised against forming into factions. But I think that it's just a human thing, and we just can't help but form into groups. And because it goes back to our evolution, how we needed to survive in a group. And we still have that. We still need to be accepted by the group. And so we would probably form into groups. It's just inevitable. But what would happen is the Republicans would go away, as they need to do, and the Democratic Party would break into the conservative wing and the progressive wing and the so-called moderate wing. And what is a moderate wing? You know what I mean? Moderate my ass. It's just another scam. I cannot wait, until we get rid of these people. Like, oh my God, they're absolutely horrible. I'm thinking of right now. Joe Manchin comes to mind. Kristen Sinema, these awful people. But we'll talk about the House. I just can't stand. Those two. But they were the ones who popped into my mind. So before we keep going, I just want to say thank you all for hanging out. If you're on another platform or somewhere right now, we're on youtube.com/CFA channel/Tarabuster, talking in the chat room that's active, hopping and popping. And thank you, Jim, for your super chat right out of the gate. And thank you, Jim and Haiku, for doing moderating duties in the chat rooms. So they're very nice people. Come on over and say hello. And even if you're a Republican, right? We don't need Republicans. We just Republicans. Come on over. I'd like to know, what is it? What is it about this party? What is it not enough? Trump, as we know, is going full fascist. Actually, now that I've said that, I reminded myself I forgot to grab that clip of him talking about, well, you've probably seen it anyway, how Trump is talking about how immigrants are poisoning the blood in America. Is that how he put it? Poisoning. Let me see. Trump. No one has poisoned the blood in this country more than Donald Trump. He's the disease. I mean, he's a symptom of the disease of greed. That has been allowed to thrive in our body politic because of the Supreme Court and money in politics, and the Supreme Court opening the floodgates to unfettered money, funneling it into the gaping mouths of these rapacious, goddamn greed-centered ghouls who are not representing the people. They're lining their pockets half the time. Oh, well, some of them have good intent. This is what I feel. For example, I think that people like Jasmine Crockett, they're in there. They get in there because they're not looking to make their fortunes. They're in there. They're probably because they were sick of sitting on the sidelines, and they want to get in and try to make a difference. And you could tell by her resume what she did prior to coming into Congress, and I would say there were other representatives, especially this freshman class like Matthew, not Matthew Maxwell Frost, who is the first. Well, he's the youngest representative that we've had, I believe, in history. And yeah, I can't no, or is it in the House now? Let's see. Let me see. Let me ask the machine. I need to do this with a microphone, do it audio only. It's hard to type and talk. Is Matthew Maxwell? Why do I keep saying Matthew? Maxwell Frost, the youngest rep in history? Maxwell Frost is the youngest member of Congress, having been elected at the age of 25. He's a member of Gen Z, blah, blah, blah. However, he is not the youngest member of Congress in history. That record belongs to William C. Claiborne, who may have been 22 when he was elected to the House in 1797. While the Constitution mandates that the House members be at least 25 years old, the House chose to seat Mr. Claiborne anyway. There must be an interesting story behind that. And isn't that a shame how it's, that history, we don't know that history. I don't know it, I should say. Maybe you know it. Maybe we should learn it together. Not right now, though. So, yeah, if you can become a patron, please do at patreon.com/Tara Devlin. And check out APS Radio News, one of our sponsors, one of our only sponsors, our only sponsor, really, except for the patrons and the super chatters. Thank you, Charlie, for your donation to Boudica. Charlie's a very amazing guy. He runs APS Radio News. This little show is part of his repertoire, his roster, I should say. And I have to say, I'm pretty proud to be on his roster. And he also, not only does he help this show keep going and growing, he throws in a couple of bucks here and there for the cats, which is a practical thing that, even though, I love the cats, but they need medical care. They need, especially the rescues, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Charlie, for everything. And yeah, so check it out, APS Radio News, and if you go over there and happen to run into Charlie, tell him Tara sent you. All right, guys? And yeah, so, I mean, today, I'm sorry I'm late, I have to say, because you guys, I'll fill you in on the Boo Boo saga. Boo Boo, our rescue cat, the latest, who was, well, he was he was a surprise, so to speak. It wasn't planned. It's not like we went out to trap him. I was informed that there was a starving cat, and I talked about this. The guys called me. These guys I know they work in a cemetery and in Calvary, where I ride my bike and whatnot. And they said somebody or whatever, this starving cat showed up. And he looked like a skeleton with a fur coat on him. He's really in bad shape. And, they're like, call Tara. But I have to, they're nice guys. I appreciate them calling me, because I went and got him. But any one of them could have taken him home, They have a bathroom, too. They could have done it. They could have rescued him, put him in their bathroom, take him to the vet. But it's okay. I'm just saying it so maybe people can open their minds. You never know. You might run into an animal in trouble and think, what do I do? You can do something, even if you don't think you can. And the other thing is, it's annoying. Well, it's not annoying. It's very fulfilling. But I mean that if it gets in the way of life, so to speak, it is right now, Boo Boo is, it takes time. And as Terry asks on the chat, how is he doing? He's doing good. He's doing well. Not good. He's good. He's a good boy who's doing well. And he got his blood work. It came back normal. So he's out of the woods, because he was severely anemic, and which is what the vet said, a sign of his organs possibly shutting down, or something even more serious too. I mean, well, how bad? That's pretty damn serious. Your organs shutting down. So he was in bad shape. He has his teeth, his canine teeth they're gone. They're halved. He has like our teeth now, because he was chewing on rocks. That's how hungry he was. So he's traumatized from starvation. And every time I speculate, when he feels the pangs of hunger, he kind of loses his mind, because he's a good boy. And then all of a sudden, throughout the day, like in the afternoon, he'll go nuts and knock over the garbage can, or trying to get food. And so he's traumatized. And I always, when I see how these creatures are affected by their childhood, I think, we're all affected by our childhood. I am. That's why, look, that's why I live alone with 4 cats. You know what I mean? I got fucked up as a, well, you know, I go to therapy. Let's put it that way. All right. I don't want to get into it now. So, how else is he was fixed today, and he's kind of he's high. So, he's really annoying at the moment. He will not sit still. He's right now he's in a carrier because I let him out in the bathroom. He's roaming throughout the house, but not today because he's high. He's falling over. I'm sure it's wearing off, but he's still acting nutty. I fed him and everything. But he kept taking off the cone, whatever, and I'm leaving it off because I can't keep it on him. So he's not licking himself, thankfully. But he's very annoying. He's loaded. He's like an annoying drunk, you know. You ever hang out with? See, I don't drink because I'm in recovery. But every now and then, I'll go to a party or something, and you'll be talking with a friend or something, and you see, after a while, that's when I say my goodbyes because everyone's. Well, not everyone, but you see, it starts getting like, I don't want to talk to a bunch of drunks. It's boring. So that's how he is. He's annoying, and I had to put him in the carrier because he kept falling, kept trying to jump and fall. And that's it. And next week he will have his canines removed because the vet said they're probably painful because his I don't know what you call it, inside the tooth is showing, so it must be painful. So there you go. That's the cat report. Let's get back to work and what we're here to do. See, that's what we would do if we weren't living in the last days of the American Republic. We would talk about cats. We would talk about regular things. Yes, the stress. Thank you, Haiku. It's very stressful. It's annoying. You know, I'm kind of tired, and tonight because I promised to do the show. Last night I couldn't do the show because I had to get up at 5 in the morning for Boo Boo because I had to take him out to Long Island to get fixed. And you know, because it's cheaper. They give you a discount as a rescuer, but it's still money out of your pocket. But whatever. It's not $500. If I took him to my own vet, that's what he'd charge me for everything. Like $500. That's a lot. For getting a ball removal. So I went out to Long Island, but I had to get there by 7:00. So I'm tired. Tired of being admired, as Madeline Kahn said. Or Kane, was that her? You know, from Blazing Saddles. Tired of being admired, tired of playing the game. I'm not a rabbit. I need my rest. All right. So let's get to work. We have so much to talk about. So, Republicans, where do we begin? Republicans are unfit to lead a drunken conga line, much less a modern nation. That is the truth, and I'm sure you probably saw it. Kevin McCarthy has been ousted, and, you know, it's all over the media. This is what gets on my nerves, and that's why I named the show The Party of Personal Responsibility blames Dems for the GOP clown show. But that's the way it is. They blame everyone but themselves. That's your party of personal responsibility. And if you've seen the way that they are behaving, they have nothing to offer. I don't know who's stupid enough, who hates themselves enough to vote for these people. How much do you hate your community to send these clowns to represent you in the halls of power? Right? How much must you hate your community? And what gets on my nerves is that, yeah, Putin is pleased. He's happy about this. Of course, what is the disgrace of the Republican Party? There's a lot of these fascists who are simply Putin puppets, and they are doing Putin's bidding. We have played clips of them before. They make regular appearances on Russian state TV, and it's a well-known fact, and it's in the media too, in the legitimate press or whatever, that Putin is doing what he's done, what he's been doing. He interfering in American elections, sowing discord, pouring lies and filth into the public, discussions, into social media, and of course, Elon Musk, who is a petty little dictator himself, who hates America, and is, he's like a damn Bond supervillain who needs to be stopped. But what do I know? I'm just Tarabuster on Tara Devlin. I just have my dinky podcast, so no one listens to me. And he really does need to be stopped, legally and peacefully. He needs to be. He is the poster child of why you tax the rich. Why we have an estate tax. Why we have progressive taxation. Why there should be a wealth tax. And it used to be the American people understood in the first Gilded Age that the estate tax and they had a wealth tax, so to speak, after a 92% top marginal tax rate. After a certain amount of money, then you would be taxed if you at that rate, at 92%. Not that you wouldn't still be filthy rich, but you couldn't be so rich that your wealth could, and your wealth, you could accumulate so much wealth that you would be able to challenge the government itself. And that's what we're up against. I mean, and that is and people used to understand that, and of course the reason we don't understand this anymore is because of corporate media and the Telecommunications Act, but they used to understand that having a high top marginal tax rate is patriotic. It is for the good of the people, the general welfare, the greatness of America. It is to have a modern society that works for all. And the country was founded as an antidote to intergenerational aristocracy, and monarchy. We didn't fight a revolution against a king and an aristocracy just to recreate it here, but the Republicans are doing it. That's what they're doing That's what they're doing because they can't govern. They hate governing, and we see what they're doing in this majority is nothing but a clown show. So ousting Kevin McCarthy, who is he's the weaker speaker. He's pathetic, and he gave these freaks the rope with which they hung him. But guess what? I know you're not surprised. You're way ahead of me. He blamed Democrats. That's who they are. And they're all blaming Democrats because the Democrats decided to all vote yes as well. So, but that's not the Democrats' rule. They didn't make that rule that one right-wing freak can file a motion to vacate the chair. That was Kevin McCarthy. He gave them that, and they fully intended to use it. And what did they use it? Why did they use it? Because Kevin McCarthy kept the government open. You see, Republicans, these, Matt Gaetz, perjury, traitor, green, Republicans, they hate America. They want to close it down. They're not happy unless Americans are needlessly suffering and dying and struggling. They like Americans struggling. You see, they hate their fellow Americans. And I wish, I'm not just saying this, okay? Guys, you know that. I wish I was wrong. They hate this country. That's why do you think they have to walk around with assault weapons? I remember that picture of Lauren Boebert with all the guns behind her as she's on a conference call with other representatives. I mean, they're clowns. What are you doing with an arsenal like that? Unless you hate your fellow Americans, because what do you think? Who are you using that against? Oh, I like shooting it off. Go to a range. You want to go boom, 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 because you got nothing better to do? Get a hobby. Get a real hobby. Filth. That's who they are. Well, let me see. Lauren Gun Wall. Would that bring this up? It's not. Yes, on Zoom. She had all these guns behind her, and all haphazardly. It's like guns akimbo behind her. Oh, look at this shit. Look at this. Look at these fucking people. Look at this person. Look at her. Legally and peacefully. Look at her. I'm ordering you. Wait, hold on. Look at that face and that stupid fucking that display. It's like gun here, gun there, everywhere. And this gun, there's a gun just laying down on top of a bunch of books, as if she read the books. What? I can't read the title. Looks like a couple of books of this. She has like 2 books of everything. 2 of the same book here, 2 of the same book there. Well, I don't know what she's doing with books. She barely passed her GED. Hopefully, maybe she's brushing up on her civics. Because look at me. Bing, bing. I'm a representative. Pew, pew, pew. Oh, the other thing, just an aside, because this is a Tarabuster, you know how we do. Lauren Boebert, when she went to the Beetlejuice show, she said that it was her first date with that guy. And we know that's a lie, because either way, it doesn't look good. Okay? Either way, if it was her first date or her however many dates. Apparently, she was dating that guy for 18 months. Sources say it wasn't her first date with him. So the reason she said it was her first date was because she was jerking him off in the theater and he was rubbing her tits. Okay? I know this is a family show, but I should have given a warning. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'll take it back. Rewind that and just cut it out. And if that's your first date, you see what I'm saying? These people are clowns. They are disgusting. They're horrible. She doesn't know how to behave, and she acts like a teenager who like with in heat or something. I don't know. It's a disgrace. A grown-ass woman with 4 kids going to the theater, and there's a guy sitting right next to her, too, on her other side. Like, they want to see that? It's not like Beetlejuice is some sexy performance, and everyone's feeling frisky in the audience. It's a goddamn child's story. It's a stupid, funny story that you're supposed to be able to bring your kids to. And She's there rubbing his crotch. He's rubbing her boobs. If that's your first date, you see, and that is emblematic of who they are. They're absolute hypocrites. They are bottomless hypocrites. It never stops. They have no decency, but they want to inflict their manias on all of us. When they don't, they need to get help. They just need to get help. Right. It was her first date that paid more than $20. Yeah, maybe, Jim, on the chat. But, I mean, if that's your first date, that's how you behave with a first date. You basically, give him a hand job in the theater while he's squeezing your boobs. And there's a pregnant woman behind you saying, please stop vaping, please stop taking pics. You know what I mean? I don't want to go back in time too much because we have more to do, more to talk about than that. But it just goes to show you that's who they are. And it's emblematic because she lies. Either lie makes her look bad. She's either, you have 4 sons, and they're going on the internet. They saw that. You better believe they saw their mother rubbing some dude who isn't their father's crotch in a theater while he was grabbing her boobs. Right? Of course they did. These kids are not supervised. They run rampant through the neighborhood. They act like they endanger the entire neighborhood, riding their ATVs through the neighborhood as if they own the goddamn place and have, because they are Lauren banned from the bowling alley Bolberts. Children who are out of control. Their fathers are drunk in the middle of the day. That's the other thing. Apparently, he came over. I don't want to go back in time, but when that happened, when the neighbors called 911, he was drunk. When he started vandalizing their mailboxes, instead of disciplining his kid and saying, "I am sorry, my child is such a horrible, disgusting spawn, a right-wing spawn of Satan, who is as big a hypocrite and out of control as the rest of the Republican Party. So I'm very sorry. You don't go and get a baseball bat and start beating up your neighbor's mailbox. But that's what he did while they're on the phone with 911. After the kid told the kid to slow down, and Lauren Boebert's well-raised son said, "F you," but said the word. See, I'm trying to be good. All right, so what was I saying? So Republicans are blaming they're blaming Democrats. Here, let's play this. This is Fox and Friends they're blaming Nancy Pelosi. They're echoing Kevin McCarthy, the weakest speaker in American history. Let me see. Where is my eCam? Here we go.
Post him, you needed just a 1 vote margin. He agreed to that, and that was the way it was traditionally done until Nancy Pelosi spread it out a little bit. And one day, Kevin McCarthy in his hours-long press conference, where it was unbelievably informative and interesting and candid.
That's who is that? Not Ducey. Who's that? What's his name again? Oh God, that's the problem. I try to forget these people as easily because you have to. Unless otherwise they haunt your nightmares. Let's see. The cast of the 5 is Dana Perino, Greg Gutfield, Jesse Waters. Is this the 5? I thought it was the 5. Well, whatever. Who cares? But he's a dumbass. He's like, it's incredibly informative because during the press conference, Kevin McCarthy talked about Hitler and how Hitler, as far as I didn't watch the whole thing because I was too busy trying to get a drunken cat to slow down. And so he was saying that Hitler, he's giving a history lesson about how Hitler and Putin are similar in invading countries and hoping that we do nothing about it. And good. I guess the cast of the five needed a history lesson because what do they know about history? They don't know anything about reality. It was very informative. Was it? Now it's like Trump. No, a lot of people don't know Lincoln was a Republican. A lot of people don't know that. No, honey, you didn't know that. You didn't. Because you're dumb. You're dumb, and all you care about is opening that gaping hole in your face that looks like a cat's ass, as Robin Kincaid says, and pouring and hoping that we all pour money and females to sexually assault and narcissistic supply. Just a bottomless pit that needs narcissistic supply. Ugh.
He was asked, why'd you agree to this? And he said he talked about this interaction he had with Nancy Pelosi and why he felt better about agreeing to it. Listen.
It was in this room.
Oh, poor baby.
After we had won the majority, I had become speaker list. And Nancy Pelosi came to me. She was speaker at the time on the way out. And I told her I was having issues with getting enough votes. And she said, what's the problem? I said, they want this one person can rule you out. She was the only speaker to have changed that rule. I had the power to call the vote on her, but I never would. I lost some votes because of it. And she said, just give it to him. I'll always back you up. I made the same offer to Boehner and same thing to Paul, because I believe in the institution. I think today was a political decision by the Democrats. And I think the things they have done in the past hurt the institution.
And while he said that yesterday, that
Pretty interesting, right?
Nancy Pelosi had his back. Nancy Pelosi was out of the House yesterday because she was in California for the funeral of the senator who just died out there.
Oh,
and so,
who would that be? The senator who just died. Does she have a name, Doocy? Oh, the senator who just died because he couldn't remember her name? That's what I found interesting as well. They're so well informed. Well, they don't need to be. They're on the phone or whatever. They get their orders from Trump. They just rinse, repeat. They get their orders, and it doesn't matter not that they have to be informed because they just make shit up. You don't really have to be up on current events if you're nothing but a propaganda channel, and that's what they are. The other thing is, I often wonder how much you have to hate yourself to actively consume a channel, a so-called news channel that had to pay and continue the not just had to, but is also has to pay $2 billion and counting for lying to its viewers/victims. So how much do you have to hate yourself? Or is it that you hate your fellow Americans, and that's what it is? They hate their fellow Americans. They don't want to be a part of a multiracial liberal democracy. You see? That's why they admire Putin. They praise Putin. Because they want to turn this country into a mirror image of Putin's Russia, an oligarchy, a strongman rule, where you don't have freedom. There's no freedom because they hate freedom. They really do. They're not free unless or they don't feel they're free unless they can call someone the N-word or bash somebody or bigotry, and they're boundless, bottomless bigotries in all forms. They can't take it. They can't stand this country. This is a nation of immigrants. It's right in our founding documents. One of the first complaints, the charges against King George, was that he was limiting immigration to the country. And that was an assault. That was something that they put down on their charges against King George. So that's one of the tyrannies of King George. He wasn't allowing immigrants to come. And, immigrants are the wealth of the nation. They're part of the wealth of the nation. We take from the best all over the world. They want to come here, right? But Republicans, they think that's poisoning the blood because they hate America. And I was watching Rachel Maddow the other day, and she was talking about one of these white supremacists that they infest the Republican Party. And this white supremacist who used to write for, what was it called? The white supremacist, Virginia Dare, writer. Let me look it up. Yeah. Dare, for those who don't know, is originally, let's see, this is from the Southern Poverty Law Center. Originally established in 1999 by Peter Brimlow, Dare has provided a crucial bridge between more mainstream anti-immigrant movement, including major players in the Republican Party, and the white nationalist fringe. Though the site has declared its mission as informing the fight to keep America American, and what does that mean? It means white. Its roster of white nationalist contributors throughout its 2+ decades online, it belies Brimlow's attempts to paint the site as solely a haven for a civic nationalist critiques of the American system of immigration. In recent years, Dare's audience has grown to include not just more mainstream anti-immigrant groups, but also other prominent figures on the right, ranging from Fox News hosts to the Trump administration. Drawing on Brimlow's previous stature in the conservative movement, along with the experience of the site's other contributors in media, politics, and academia, Dare enjoys an appearance of authority that other white nationalist organizations can only envy. Throughout the years, its contributors have included academic proponents of scientific racism, wayward conservative commentators, and big-name pundits such as Ann Coulter, Michelle Malkin, and Pat Buchanan. During the Trump era, however, Dare managed to walk a tight line. It has provided favorable coverage of the white nationalist movement, employed some of the movement's most prominent propagandists, and participated in an array of white nationalist events, while simultaneously cozying up to like-minded extremists in the White House and elsewhere in the Trump administration. Indeed, in 2019, Dare's umbrella organization, the Dare Foundation, was awarded $1.5 million by the conservative dark money group Donors Trust, a fund populated by Republican mega donor families, including the Kochs, the Mercers, and the DeVosses. I mean, you see, they are, this is a racist party. It doesn't matter if it's your mama, your granny, your nice little neighbor, old lady or whatever the hell, they're all in league with Nazis and the KKK and the most horrible people in the country, the most racist. And you don't have to be you really don't have to be white to be racist. I mean, look at, for example, Uncle Tim Scott, who is nothing but a human shield for Republican bigotries. As is George Santos. He's a human shield for Republican anti-gay. Because he's just as anti-gay as the rest of them. And while he talks about being gay, when it suits him, it makes him a standout somehow. But he hates gays. He's another one. He's like Uncle Clarence and Uncle Tim Scott and Byron Donalds. You had to see right when you might have seen when they ousted McCarthy. When I went on Twitter, and all the filthy dumbass fascists were all talking about who they wanted, and they're posting who they wanted to replace McCarthy, and they're like, Byron Donalds. There was a lot of Byron Donalds. Byron Donalds. Yeah, let's get the guy, the freshman, who's so awesome that the Republicans didn't give him one committee chair, right? They want to make him speaker, though. They were nominating him for speaker because he's a human shield. They were nominating him solely because he's black. That's the difference between the normal people and the Republican Party. Because Hakeem Jeffries, he's got a resume. He knows what he's doing. He's not an empty suit. He's not just a human shield. Like Ketanji Brown Jackson. She has an impeccable resume. She's incredible. She is probably one of the best Supreme Court justices to ever sit in the bench. But that's what they have to be. Anyone who a Democrat nominates, or a Democrat who happens to have darker pigment and they are running for office, they're not just doing the bidding of the white nationalists. The white nationalists will accept them into their cult, but they'll never give they'll never support multiracial liberal democracy, at which these right wingers, the who happen to have darker pigment, they take advantage of all of the work that liberals fight for, like Uncle Clarence. Same thing. Every door that was open for Uncle Clarence, liberals fought for, except that somehow it hurt his feelings. Republicans are always like, fuck your feelings. Oh, I hurt your feelings. But here we are, living in the manias of these people because they got their feelings. Uncle Clarence's feelings. What about the whole goddamn society? Don't worry about it. Just pull up the ladder behind you, Uncle Clarence. Anyway, and the rest of them. Tim Scott. America is not a racist nation. Let me see. Let me write this down. What else did he say recently? It's kind of, I know he said, it's escaping me. He said something that was really so outrageous on the at the Republican debate. Tim Scott, racist. Let's just put that in there. Let's see what comes back. Some criticize him for denying the existence of systemic racism. In recent appearance on The View, Scott defended himself against the criticism from co-host Joy Behar. Behar, I guess that's how you pronounce it, who accused him of not understanding systemic racism. Scott called her comments disgusting. Oh, please. What did he? Oh, he said that. That's what he said. That we survived slavery. The black family survived slavery. Not every family. We survived. Yeah, keep sowing that bullshit. We survived. Not everybody. No, the family, the black family didn't survive, and they weren't considered a family. They were considered property. And they were routinely and commonly pulled apart without apology and sold off. Did you imagine? Yeah, we survived. But the worst thing that ever happened was the Great Society. Yeah, it took the black father out of the home. How did it do that? Oh, you know, because he's a racist, you see. He's doing the bidding of the white nationalists. They love him for that. And what he's saying is inherently racist, you see. I'll get back to the video in a second. But what he's saying is an old racist trope, because he's saying the Great Society took the black father out of the home, and meaning what I guess that's what he is meaning, or what he's getting at, because at first I was confused by that. What is he talking about? How did the Great Society take black fathers out of the home? And I suppose he means because of the welfare state somehow. You know, because of welfare, the social safety net. It's because we have a social safety net, and it took black fathers out of the home because they just decided to hang out in the social safety net hammock. They were getting such a good deal, and they didn't have to worry about their families. It just said, F it, I'm gonna go and do nothing here. And, you're on your own. So, but that's in itself is a racist ass trope that goes back to slavery, where one of the justifications for slavery was that the black person in general was inherently lazy, and they needed to be taught the dignity of work. So if they didn't have the structure of being an enslaved person, they would just do nothing. They'd hang out. Because they're lazy. They wouldn't do anything. They'd never get off their ass and do anything and make anything of themselves. So you're putting them to good use, at least, because left to their own devices, you can't trust them. They have to be controlled tightly. And that's what I guess is what he's saying, that's how the black father got out of the home. And it's the old racist trope, which Republicans repeat all the time, how welfare, and when Republicans say welfare, they're talking about black people. Okay? We know that. That's a dog whistle. Like when Reagan talked about the young buck on food stamps. What do you think he's getting at, right? What young buck? They do this. They trigger words because they're a party of racists, and they'll never ever challenge their racist base to look at themselves and get over their bullshit. Of course not. So that's another example of how much they hate the country, because we need to have a racist reckoning in this country. We need to have the conversation, and that's why they hate Black Lives Matter. I mean, we go into it all the time. Then they had to denigrate Black Lives Matter because it wasn't just black people in Black Lives Matter. It was all pigments. So, yeah. So there you go. Let's get back to the video. I'm sorry. This is a lot of tangents happening tonight. If you're not into the tangents, just go over to patreon.com/Tara Devlin and get yourself a patronage. All right?
To oust him, you needed.
All right, let's go.
I had the power to call the vote on her, but I never would.
Sure.
I lost some votes
Bullshit.
because of it.
Bullshit. First of all, he's saying, so this is Kevin McCarthy saying that the reason he's not speaker anymore is because of Nancy Pelosi. Because he was such a, gee, Nancy, what do I do? I just can't get the votes. And supposedly, because we're supposed to believe Kevin McCarthy, who is a filthy liar, and one of the reasons why he's ousted is because both sides of the aisle did not trust him. That's what we heard, right? The Republicans couldn't trust him. The Democrats couldn't trust him. He talks out of both sides of his mouth all the time. We've seen it. Well, he's talking about how Trump is to blame for January 6th, for the insurrection. Then he flies down to Maramoron and kisses his ass. How he made a deal with Joe Biden and the Democrats for the debt ceiling, right? To keep the government open. And he reneged on that deal. He's not to be trusted. And the Republicans said the same thing. How can we trust him? You can't. He is a liar. And one of the things that got on my nerves about him, too, we talked about, and I won't get into another tangent, is how he would lament the divided country and in one breath, and in the next breath, talk about the Democrat Party. Right? The Democrat Party. Which I always find amazing how they get away with it. And corporate media, this is why corporate media sucks. He'll be like, oh, it's such a divided country, and I wish I could go to my Democrat Party friends and have a conversation about this, or immigration or something, which is another thing that Republicans don't want to fix, just like they don't want to govern. They like that we don't come together and figure out what to do about the immigration issue at the border. They don't want to have a resolution, especially a bipartisan one, because they want to throw stones. They need the border to be porous and people coming here. That's what they keep saying all over their social media sites. Oh, the border is wide open. And it's not wide open, but the way when they say that, what they're doing is they are announcing it to those who want to come here, who want to present themselves at the border and seek asylum. And people are like, well, yeah, I mean, it is out of control. There has to be some agreement. There should be bipartisan agreement. That's why we send people to Congress to come up with solutions to our problems. And there could be if Republicans were sincere partners in this government, but they're not. They want the border open. If anybody wants the border open, it's them. It's not the Democrats. They're just like, the border is open, the border is open. They want to go to the border and they want to put on, like Ted Cruz. Like the fascist Death Santis. They want to go and take pictures, have their picture taken with binoculars and look like they're fucking doing something. They don't want to do anything about it because they need to have it as an issue. They wide open, right? Right. Haiku on the chat. They said wide open. Children, we leave tomorrow. Exactly. But they're telegraphing, and that's what they're saying. It's like, wow, the border's wide open. Let's go. It's time to go. This is a good opportunity. They're saying it's wide open. There's nothing anybody's doing about it, so we gotta go. Let's go. And that's why they keep doing it. They don't want to fix anything. They're not there to fix anything. They're there to line their own pockets, to get their lifetime pensions, to get their cushy lobbying gigs, to get their asses kissed. They feel very like big men and women walking around. What do you think about that? Congress, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker. Wherever they move, wherever they come out of the door, there's the press. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker. They feel important. They like that. And then they get to pass out checks and go to the wine cave and whatnot, you know.
And she said, just give it to him.
Bullshit.
I'll always back you up.
Prove it.
I made the same offer to Boehner and same thing.
First of all, there was no one person can vacate the chair. Okay? That's not how it happened. That's not what was done. So what he's saying in itself is a fallacy. But you see, it's like the rest of them. Don't they have any dignity? Don't they have any dignity? You know? When will they grow the fuck up and take responsibility for their own clown show? It's because they are fundamentally immature. They can't take responsibility. You have to have some maturity. You have to have some self-awareness to take responsibility. It's called adulting. They just can't do it. That's why they're in the Republican Party. I'm sure you did. You saw their antics. They are embarrassing. That's why the other thing is, and this is the Republicans in a nutshell, how their answers to everything is just don't talk about it, right? Like their answer to animal abuse in factory farms is to make it illegal to videotape animal abuse in factory farms. If you don't know, what you don't know can't hurt you. Well, it certainly hurts the animals who we treat with not a modicum of decency. But they don't give a shit. So, the same thing with the cameras, the C-SPAN cameras. That's why we only have the cameras on the podium and whoever's speaking at the podium. There's no roaming cameras anymore. You can't see them because they don't want to have them. The Republicans look like a bunch of clowns when they were going through the vote, where they're coming to blows. They're like, and perjury Trader Green is like, Trump's on the phone. Come on. Fucking ugh. And they realize, oh shit, we look like the clowns that we are. Well, you don't need to look like, you don't it's not like just because the camera's on you doesn't mean you gotta look like a clown. But that's who they are. Act like a fucking adult. Act like an adult. But they realized when the camera was on them, then there were different reports about what a bunch of clowns. What a bunch of clowns. Look at these clowns. Look at this one coming to blows. Look at this idiot over here. Look at fucking George Santos. Are you kidding me with this clown show? And they still look like clowns, regardless of where the camera's pointed. I'm sure you saw their Patrick McHenry. Let's play that now that we're talking.
Chair
about
declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
Boom, baby, boom, 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 boom. But it reminded me of a 2-year-old. You ever see? I'm sure you have a 2-year-old with a hammer. Reminded me of my nephews. I used to have the Fisher Price little construction kit or something where they'd be like boom, 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 boom with the hammer. Fucking
The chair.
2-year-old.
Chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
Boom. I'm mad. Boom. They can't control themselves. Oh, and then even when we have a camera like at this angle, we still see them act like asses. Like perjury trader Green coming at Lauren Boebert. I was the one who put the impeachments. I was the one. You little bitch. Fucking bunch of clowns. What is wrong? I wanted to ask all you Republicans, what's wrong with you? Will you go just get the goddamn help you need? And stop. Let the adults adult. Let the ones who are capable and want a functioning democracy to do the work of governing. You can't do it. You just can't do it. That's why you have to blame everybody. That's another example. They got to blame everybody but themselves. Everybody but themselves. It's like, what part did you play? Oh, we'll get to McHenry too, because they're all a bunch of winners, all of them. It's like a contest of horribles. Well, let's get back to the Fox News fascists complaining.
To oust him.
I think the things they have done in the past hurt the institution.
And while he said that yesterday, that
Pretty interesting, right?
Nancy Pelosi had his back. Nancy Pelosi was out of the House yesterday because she was in California for the funeral of the senator who just died out there.
And so,
and she's regarded
easily could have
as
made a phone
Speaker
call.
Emeritus. So the Democrats, under the leadership of Hakeem Jeffries, wrestled.
The Speaker Emeritus, because she had the same margin as the weaker Speaker Kevin McCarthy, and she never put a vote on the floor that she knew wouldn't pass. She's not a clown. She knew what she was doing. She put you all to shame. As does anyone really, who with a thimbleful of fitness, of skill. Yeah, they put them all to shit. They couldn't. I mean, it's a shit show. That's because they got a bunch of kooks running free. It's like the bats out of the belfry in there. And, of course, they're going to blame Democrats. They never take responsibility. The party of personal responsibility only sticks to that motto when they're trying to deny Americans health care or a living wage, retirement security, education. Then we hear about the party of personal responsibility. Well, I'm all about personal responsibility, except you're not. Oh, we'll get to that, too. There's a lot to talk about.
With whether or not to support and save the speakership of Kevin McCarthy. Ultimately, they decided not to. And I read somewhere that apparently in the morning, as you can see right there, every one of the Democrats voted against McCarthy.
That's what you get for trusting a Democrat.
Bingo.
Right?
I know.
Yeah, they tell you one thing and then they pull back and do something else.
Instead of winning over your caucus, instead of getting the 12 appropriations bill, instead of getting term limits, which you promised, you trusted the Democrats to save your tail. You trusted the Democrats to save you with the CR bill. I mean, it's no wonder why he's not speaker.
Well, it was just
incredible. You trusted the Democrats. First of all, like I said, who's to tell that that's a true story? I'd like to hear Nancy Pelosi's side of the story anyway. Oh, I just did what Nancy. Well, Nancy told me to do it. Oh, does that work? Nancy did it. She told me to do it, Mommy. I was with Nancy. And she told me that that I should do it. No one would get in trouble. Well, if Nancy tells you to jump off the bridge, would you do it? Well, you're both punished. Nancy, well, you're going to be punished because Nancy didn't do it, and now you're going to your room, and I'm taking away your PlayStation, and you won't be able to play Mr. Toad's Wild Ride or something that reminds you of whatever, Mario Kart that you play that reminds you of Trump's penis. I'm taking that game away. And Nancy Pelosi didn't have one person can vacate the chair. And the other thing is about these filthy fascist Republicans is they're like, how is it that 8 people, you know, because all these assholes who voted to get rid of him, these kooks, and I mean, I hate Kevin McCarthy with the heat of 1,000 blazing suns, but they all suck. And then, of course, on Morning Joe too, that I was watching, Joe was saying how, the Dems, that why couldn't they save the institution? It's always the Democrats' fault, right? Why couldn't they save the institution? And they're gonna get a worse speaker. They're not gonna get. It's not gonna get better. It's only gonna get worse. Of course, it's gonna get worse. And they're like, look forward to Speaker not Kevin McCarthy, Jim Jordan. Of course, put Jim Jordan in the speakership, please. It will ensure us it will ensure a blue wave. Put him there. They're talking about putting Trump. Trump says he will be the speaker, just for a little bit, if they ask him, and maybe I'll take it. Yeah, put that fucking 91 times indicted, 2 times impeached, convicted rapist, fraudster, serial fraudster, lifelong fraudster. Put him in there, please. Because it will only ensure a blue wave. And we will we'll finally crush this, whatever this thing is, this monster that keeps rising up from the sewers of America and infesting our institutions, our halls of power. This sewer rats coming up from the nooks and crannies of America, where they belong in the darkness. They belong in the nooks and crannies. The cracks, the crevices, where the roaches hang out, where all the slime is. That's what they're crawling out from under the rock of the KKK, the Nazis, using the same language as Nazis, using the same tactics of the world's most disgusting dictators. And I told you from the beginning. Now they're like, Trump he's a fascist, he's a Nazi. He's talking about blood, how immigrants are poisoning the blood of America, and that's just like Hitler and all. And, what the hell was coming down a fucking excuse my language, what the hell was coming down an escalator calling Mexicans rapists? That should have been it for him. You come down, it doesn't matter the escalator, whatever, you start your campaign by vilifying and targeting a minority group, and you get a bunch of dummies that are like, yeah, he's just like me. I like that guy. I like him. I like that con man with the fake university and the vitamin scan, the history of sexual assault. I like him. The fake successful businessman. Yeah, I like him. I like him. He's just like me. He's just as dumb as I am. I keep voting Republican because I hate the same things they hate. I hate gays. I hate black people. I hate Mexicans. I hate everybody. Doesn't matter that my grandmother was an immigrant, right? Half of these people, my family only goes back one generation off the boat. My father, and then me. I guess that's two. I don't know. My grandmother came from Ireland. So, but they did it legally. Really? My grandmother came here and had my father. That's what happened. And he was the anchor baby. But, he's white. And I'm sure that's how they did it too. Lots of these Republicans. It doesn't matter. Whatever. But what was I saying about? Yeah. Oh, yes. That's it. So they're saying that it's another example. Well, I'm saying it, but of the tyranny of the minority, where they're like, how can these 8 assholes vote against? Have more say and get rid of the speaker when 200 or whatever the rest of us want him here. And I'm like, there you go. That's what I keep saying. How is it that the person who receives the most votes doesn't get to hold the office like Hillary Clinton? How is that? How does that work? How is it that somebody who receives fewer votes gets to shove freaking 3 Supreme Court justices onto the bench for lifetime appointments? How the fuck does that happen? Somebody who receives fewer votes. How is it that the people who represent less, AOC's district, there's more people in this district than there are in half of Wyoming. And they get more of a say. Well, what about the senators? California, the millions of people who are represented by 2 senators, and Wyoming gets 2 senators? Fuck that. What about it's just the tyranny of the minority. How many Republicans get to squat in the White House despite receiving fewer votes? It's always the Republicans. That's the tyranny of the minority, and this is the problem. So you don't give this filthy minority, they don't get a say. This is excuse me, I didn't finish my sentence. They don't get to rule the country. Of course they get a say, but the fact is, why should they be in charge? You don't put the fucking people who lose in charge. And we would be in a totally different country at this point if the ones who actually received the most votes served the positions the American people voted them into. Like Al Gore. The whole country would be a different country. We wouldn't have a Amy Coney Barrett, I like beer, Justice I like beer. We wouldn't have these people, Gorsuch, and all these horrible, filthy, disgusting, self-serving ghouls in lifetime appointments. These greed-centered ghouls. These they're just ghosts, I should say. The greed-centered ghosts of the Gilded Age. So, how? So there you go. Why are we under this tyranny of the minority? Enough of this shit. Let the people who win, put them in office. It's just outrageous, frankly. It's freaking outrageous. Good night, Dave. Everybody's saying good night. Good night, Dave. Sleep tight. See you tomorrow, Dave. I'll be taking attendance. So, anyway, where was I? We won't, tonight's gonna be a short show. I got a lot of shit to do with Boo Boo after the show. But we have a lot to talk about. So, what was I put a lot on the list. Where should we go next? And what should we save for tomorrow? Oh, well, let's do this. Well, there's a few things. Oh, Matt Gaetz, they're coming for him. That's pretty good. The party of personal responsibility. Yes. Let me see. There's so many things. It never stops. They're horrible. What do I do first? Oh, let's just do this one. This just happened. And it's another example of how Republicans, it's like Lauren Boebert. Banned from the bowling alley, Boebert, and now banned from the theater, Boebert. How they're also lived legends in their own minds. They all suck on the government teat without the manners, the maturity, the decency to say thank you. Simply say thank you. And move on. Like Uncle Clarence. Thank you for opening these doors for me. Thank you for allowing me to have a seat at the table. And now I'm going to overturn that table so nobody else can sit down. But anyway, and Republicans are the same. They just are it's just so unbelievable. It's tedious in their predictability. And I think I would faint if any member of the party of personal responsibility ever took responsibility. But anyway, here's just right before we started the show, the White House tweeted, I appreciate this about the White House. They've been outing Republicans who are in opposition to many things, like Biden's student loan forgiveness, for example, because they say, well, people are taking advantage because they hate America. You see, they think that Americans are inherently lazy. Either they're like, we're the best, we did this, we built that, we went to the moon. So everything that they talk about, it's all because of progressives. You understand? Like when we fought in World War II, the greatest generation, they go on about. Well, guess what? The greatest generation voted for FDR's New Deal 4 times in 4 landslide elections. And and they would do it again. That's the greatest generation that voted for the second Bill of Rights. Right? The greatest generation voted for socialist security. They voted for the high top marginal tax rates of 90%. They voted for FDR. The socialist FDR. They call him a socialist. They voted for unemployment insurance. They voted for retirement security. They voted for everything that the Republicans stood against and still continue to stand against. Because anytime government works for the American people, for average Americans, Republicans can't hack it. They start talking about responsibility. Party of personal responsibility. Well, anyway, And they all take loans. They all take cuts, like Trump, cheating on his taxes, the biggest loser. He's sucking on the American teat of government. He's sucking on our teat, the government teat. And he's like, oh, that makes me smart. You're a parasite. Right? Oh, but everybody, pull yourself up by your bootstraps for thee, not for me. Well, this just came out right before we started the show. The White House roasted car salesman and Representative Mike Kelly, Republican of Pennsylvania, for grousing about President Joe Biden's efforts to provide student debt relief, even after the lawmaker had $1 million in government loans forgiven. On Thursday, Kelly took to Twitter /X, fuck you, Elon Musk, to object to Biden's cancellation of $9 billion in student loan debt for 125,000 borrowers. So this is what Democrats do. While Republicans are banging the gavel like a 2-year-old and doing things like, this is what the first thing that the assholes did was they told Speaker Pelosi to vacate her office for the weaker speaker, because that's working for the American people. You see? They hate the American people. They hate America. They want us at each other's throats because they hate America. They hate the people of California who voted for Nancy Pelosi and sent her to the House of Representatives to represent them. They hate those people. The fellow Americans. And they call themselves patriots, right? Well, the opposite of patriotic is, that's what they are. I mean, you can't say you are patriotic and while hating everyone in the country, just about. What's patriotic? I just don't get it. Stars and eagles, that's it. What does that mean? It's the same thing. It's all performative. Oh, I'm going to show them. I'm going to make Nancy Pelosi leave her office. As if that does anything. And she said, I'll work. I don't give a shit. I'll work anywhere. But that's who they are. And for their next trick, what are they going to do? Call somebody a fat pig? Yell at each other? Challenge each other to a fight? That's what they were doing. Shit like that. Where is that? Here's one of these assholes.
Come at me and call me a rhino, you can kiss my ass. Look, I've spent a lifetime fighting for limited government conservatism. I have laid it all on the line. I've not seen my family but for 2 days in the last 30 days. You go around talking your big game and you thumping your chest on Twitter? Yeah, come to my office and come have a debate, mother. You know why? Because I'm standing up for this country every single day.
That's Chip Roy. Motherfucker. He said fucker, too, so they bleeped it out. Come at me, mother effer. I'm standing up every single day. What are you doing? What are you doing? Come at me, mother effer. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Could you imagine a Democrat doing that? You can't. Imagine a Democrat going on posting that. He had to post that because they cannot control themselves. That like babies, like children, like high school children, not even high school, junior high. It's pathetic. Like Lauren Boebert and Perjury Trailer Trash in the bathroom yelling at each other, screaming matches. When did screaming matches come to the House and the Senate? Screaming matches at the Capitol. with the filthy fascist Republicans, with the clown show. Screaming matches, screaming at each other. That's what they do. How does this help their district, their communities? And and they'll take credit. Oh yeah, you better believe it, for everything they vote against. The infrastructure bill. Oh, we built like Lauren Boebert. That's what she did. She's like, we're building a community center right here in Colorado, in my district, that you voted against. They're just so unbearable. I can't take it. But I'm glad that the White House and whoever's running their social media is on it and points it out. Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry about that. I almost slacked myself in the face. On Thursday, Kelly took to Twitter to object to Biden's cancellation of $9 billion, and like I said, in student loan debt. So he writes on Twitter, no student loan is forgiven. The debt is just transferred to the backs of the American people because they have to get each other, they need the American people to hate each other. It's just not fair. I had to pay my student loans, so everyone has to do everything that I had to do. They all have to have a shitty life. Like I have to make everyone as miserable as I am. And as you see here, I responded to this asshole. Let's get to what the White House said. The White House called them out and pointed out the fact that congressional Republican math is complaining about student debt relief while having $987,000, 237 of your own PPP loans forgiven. $1 million. $1 million. The American people, they're not getting $1 million forgiven, but Mike Kelly is. So-called Representative Mike Kelly is. And what do we get when Mike Kelly, a sole asshole, has his, just one lone asshole, one loud lone asshole, has almost $1 million forgiven. We paid that bitch $1 million. We did. My taxpayers, your tax dollars, not Trump because he doesn't pay his taxes. We paid. We gave him $1 million. And what did we get for it? What do we get for it? Well, the article says, believe it or not, it was the second time the White House dragged Kelly over his position on student debt forgiveness. In August of 2022, he fired off a similar tweet asking and this is what it is. This is the tweet. Asking plumbers and carpenters to pay off the loans of Wall Street advisors and lawyers is just unfair. It's also bad policy. And that's what they have to do because they have to pit people against each other. Oh, I'm equally outraged when, for example, Pete Buttigieg said the same thing. Basically saying, I don't want to pay for Trump's kids to go to school. That's another fucking story. He's another one. But the White House had a terser response. At that time, Congressman Mike Kelly had $987,237 in PPP loans forgiven. Biden has taken several executive actions on student debt after the Supreme Court, the illegitimate Supreme Court, stuffed with illegitimate handmaids who are part of a cult, kept pets of billionaires, and assorted dishonorable assholes who have no business being on the court, lest except for their complete and utter disdain for America and unethical behavior and participating in the unethical overthrowing of the institution. So they have no business being on the court. They are illegitimate. And therefore, that's how they should be known. The illegitimate Supreme Court. Okay. Listen, I hope you're listening, Democrats. So yes, Biden has taken several executive actions on student debt after the illegitimate Supreme Court struck down his plan that would have forgiven $20,000 in debt for eligible borrowers. But, so, like I said on this Twitter machine, where is it? So he says, no student loan is forgiven. The debt is just transferred onto the backs of American taxpayers, like your debt was transferred on our backs. His debt. But what did we get for it? Nothing. We got nothing. I'll answer that quickly. What did we get? What did the American people get when Representative Mike Kelly, this maggot, what did they get? What did we get for it? Oh, he got to walk away, hipping, hopping, and popping, and skipping, and into the House of Representatives so he can vote against other Americans at every turn that might have similar relief. But no, because everything that Democrats try to do to offer relief, to make this country, the working people, to promote the general welfare. The Republicans lose their minds. Because they like the upward mobility. They didn't work hard with this trickle down bullshit. They didn't inflict that Reagan, that fraud on this country, who turned this country from the most to the least upwardly mobile. They worked hard to do that. They're not going to go back on that overnight. Well, I wrote in response, a 2020 study found for every dollar we spend sending fellow Americans to college returns a profit of 13.5% to 35.9%. And that's just one study. There's numerous studies that have been done. And I continue. It's called investing in the future. So every dollar we spend sending our fellow Americans to college, we get a return on investment. That they put more tax money into our commons so we can have things that other countries have as a right of citizenship. Like maybe one day we can get universal health care. We can get, like what happened in the Great Prosperity. That's what it was all about. Where the middle class was created. The middle class didn't just happen because billionaires felt like trickling it on us one day. It happened by government policy, tax policy, when we sent an entire generation to college with the GI Bill when they came back from war. And that, of course, the Republicans, they were against the GI Bill. They saw cheap labor coming home. You understand? They didn't see students. They didn't see that. They wanted the cheap labor. They want the American people suffering and struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, barely scraping by. They want that because it makes Americans easier to control. You don't stand up. You don't say, hell no, we won't go to your war. Which is what happened in the years following the investment in the American people, where the middle class was created. The right wingers, the billionaire class, the owner, the donor class, which drives me up a wall. Another thing that the corporate media never, it just says it unironically, as if a democracy should have a donor class. The donor class is a sign of decay. It's a sign of the incipient creeping fascism. Donor class. You see what I mean? They don't even say it with disdain. Like, what is this fucking donor class doing in a democracy? There should be no donor class. But anyway, so, but that's what the conservatives, they saw that and they said, shit, we got to put these workers in their place. We got to destroy their unions. We have to stop allowing the American people to go to college for free. That just makes them uppity. That just makes them organized. They get some self-esteem, and they get together and they're like, let's form, we want a seat at the table. Gays, we want a seat at the table. Women, we want a seat at the table. Darker pigment people, we want a seat at the table, And they need you nice and malleable and desperate, so you don't pester your betters while they're hanging out and trickling on you. So what I said, what return on investment did we, the people, get for forgiving your $987,237 PPP loan? Nothing. We got a maggot who lacks the decency to say thanks and then go shut the fuck up. That's it. They don't have the decency. And I wonder, what it is? It's not that they are, it's that they can't help it. It's not that they're doing it deliberately, in a way. It's their inherent, it's their essence. And he thinks he deserves to have $987,237 handed to him by the American people. He doesn't even consider it a forgiveness. He's like, I earned it. I did it myself. Like my little niece. I do it myself. So, and that because they have this ideology that is anathema to reality. It doesn't matter. Reality. They don't. Reality never interferes. In their minds, it's like every Republican I've ever known, and we've talked about a few of them who are epic and just from head to toe hypocrites. Like the guy I told you about who's HIV positive. I knew him from the rooms. I still know him on Facebook or whatever, but he's HIV positive from IV drug use. Not that whatever, it just is what it is. But he's on disability, and he's the biggest asshole, the biggest maggot, biggest right winger, going on about liberals. It's like, honey, you would be dead. We pay for his medication, the roof over his head. He's just one person. I know this person. There's other people I know. They're right wingers. They don't, they're on disability. They're on various forms of public assistance. It's fine. That's what it's there for. But at least say thanks. Stop. Look at yourself. Well, it's because they're white. You understand? They think they earned it. Everybody else, if you have darker pigment and you need a little help, you're taking advantage. But they earned it. So there you go. All right, listen up, guys. We're going to wrap it up right here. Yes, right. Haiku on the chat says, go Galt. Be our guest. Please go Galt. I'm waiting for them to go Galt. I wish they would all just go Galt. If they can't rapture the hell out of here, just go Galt. Go into the woods like the Unabomber. Build your own community. Build a bunch of cabins. Do your own roads. Get your own water. Do it all yourself. All this government holding you down. You ever see on YouTube, sometimes it'll come up in my feed, the sovereign citizens being arrested or whatever. They're always getting arrested because they get pulled over and they're like, I don't need to show you, according to civic law 1255735, but like they're just so tedious. And I feel bad for the cops because they're like, oh my God, I got a sovereign citizen here. All they ask is license and registration. But there they are, driving our roads. And they just don't want to participate in the responsibilities, you see. They want all the benefits of civilization, but they don't want any of the responsibilities that we have to each other. So they're like, I'm a sovereign citizen. Yeah, it's the most babyish thing. Go be a sovereign citizen. That's why I think, these people don't even have the integrity of the Unabomber, who at least went into the woods and lived off the land, right? So go and do it. Live off the land. Show us. Go Galt. Just go Galt. But for heaven's sakes, just go. Just go. All right. Listen. Hi, Trucker John. I'm sorry, Trucker John. We're wrapping it up. But we will be back tomorrow at 8:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Exactly. Haiku on the chat says, exactly, Tara. Don't let the lack of running water and sewage systems stop you. Go. Just go. I know. It's so... we'll see what happens. We have so much to talk about, so I hope you can come back tomorrow night for our Friday night get-together here at the Tarabuster, wherever the hell. YouTube, Facebook, Rokfin, wherever the hell else we are. And also APS Radio News, where this show is featured alongside other independent media voices. Thank you, Charlie, for making me part of the APS Radio News community. Thank you for supporting Tarabuster and also supporting little Booty Boo, Boudica. Where is she? Where's my little Booty Boo? Boudica. Booty. I don't know where the hell she is. All right, listen. Thank you for hanging out, guys. It's been fun. I feel a little stress relief after bottling it up for a few days. But we'll be back here tomorrow, 8:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you can, invite a friend. Tell your friends. Tell your friends to become a patron at patreon.com/Tara Devlin. Thank you, Jim, for your super chat. Thank you, Covert White Rabbit, for your super chat right under the wire. I really appreciate it. It means the world. I'm very glad to see you all and to see, our community growing, keeping going and growing. Thank you so much, guys. We will win. We will win. It's going to be rough for a while. It's going to be annoying. But we will win. We're on the right side of history. Yes. We're on the right side of decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. Thank you so much for hanging out, guys. Thank you. And I will see you tomorrow night.